it seems like most people are picking Luis Collazo to beat Amir Khan. And most of those people are picking Collazo by knockout as well. But is it possible that we're all underestimating Amir Khan's ability to change? He's with a new trainer now, Virgil Hunter. We did see a change in his style in his last 2 fights. Now, that change in his style didn't seem that effective, to be honest with you, especially in the Diaz fight. He made changes, but he still managed to get himself hurt. It was still a very close fight. A lot of people felt like Diaz won. So we saw the changes, but they weren't necessarily effective changes. A lot of people actually believe he was more effective fighting in the style that Freddie Roach taught him, all-out attack. But nonetheless, he has had a much longer rest than he's ever had in his career before. He's been out the ring now a year, I believe. He's had a long rest. Is there the chance that that rest has done him the world of good? Because he had a very busy schedule before, and he was going through hard fight after hard fight. Remember, he had the Lamont Peterson fight where he took a lot of damage in that fight. Then he had the Danny Garcia fight, and he took a lot of damage in that fight as well. Maybe the rest has rejuvenated him and given him a new lease of life. Maybe he's had enough time now. Apparently he's had like 9 or 10 months with Virgil Hunter, working on things in the gym and whatnot, sparring with lots of different guys, Angulo and a bunch of other people. Maybe that's given him enough time to really change his style and show us a new Amir Khan. He's been promising us a new Amir Khan pretty much his whole career. Every time he gets beaten, in fact, every time he has a bad performance, he comes out before his next fight and says, oh, you're going to see a new Amir Khan this time. So, you know, we're used to him saying that. It'd be surprising if he didn't say it. But could it actually be true this time? Because the circumstances are different going into this fight than they were going into his previous fights. He's had a much longer layoff. He's had a change of trainer. And also, crucially, based on what I saw in an interview, which I'll leave a link to in the description below, an interview of IFL TV and Kugan Cassius, a recent interview in Vegas, Khan also seems to have a change of attitude. This is the most humble and realistic I've ever seen Amir Khan in an interview before. I've never seen him this level-headed before. Normally he gets these delusions of grandeur and says he's going to knock this guy out and do this, that, and the other. He wasn't saying that in this interview with Kugan Cassius about Luis Collazo. He was saying, Collazo's dangerous. I'm not going to look for the knockout. I just want to get the win. I'm just going to box the guy. The guy's a natural welterweight. He's naturally bigger and stronger than me. I'm not going to exchange like I did in previous fights and get myself caught. I'm just going to stick to nice, sensible boxing and try and outbox the guy. That is exactly what you want to hear from Amir Khan. There's a Clint Eastwood film. I can't remember which film it is, but there's a quote from that film. And the quote is, it's important for a man to know his limitations. And maybe Amir Khan has finally realized his own limitations. Now, this chin business, this business about Amir Khan's chin, he's never going to come out and say, yes, I've got a weak chin. That would almost be like admitting psychological defeat. It would probably be a bad thing for him to come out and say, I've got a weak chin. But for him to come out and say, I've got a poor defense, that is a healthy thing to say, because that's going to make him more mindful of his defense. But if he came out and said, yes, I've got a weak chin, then in the back of his head, he's already admitted defeat. So when he gets hit with a shot, you know, on a subconscious level, he's going to be even more hurt because he himself believes he's got a weak chin. So I know people think he's delusional saying that he doesn't have a weak chin, but I think that's the right thing for him to do, is not admit that he's got a weak chin and just improve on his defense. And if he ain't getting hit on the chin, then it won't be an issue. So I like what he said in the IFL TV interview with Kugan Cassius. I saw a lot of maturity there. Maybe he realizes this is last chance saloon. Because if he gets beat by Collazo, that's it. His career's probably done and dusted. Never mind, forget about the Mayweather fight. Forget about his career at top level altogether. What excuse is he going to use this time if he gets knocked out by Collazo? When he got knocked out by Prescott, he blamed the weight. He said, oh, I was weight drained. When he got knocked out by Garcia, he said, I was weight drained. What's going to happen? What excuse is he going to, you know, make to himself? Never mind what he says to the public. Amir Khan makes these excuses not for the public. He makes these excuses more for himself, to give himself confidence. Okay, I got knocked out, but I was weight drained. What's he going to tell himself if he gets knocked out by Collazo? So maybe he's finally realized his limitations And he don't want to make no more mistakes. He don't want to have a repeat of Danny Garcia or Bradis Prescott. And he's just going to box the most sensible fight he could possibly box against Collazo. And if he does, he's got a good chance against Collazo. Even with this weak chin, even with this suspect physical strength, which is something I've always felt about Khan. I've always felt that his main weakness is not necessarily his chin. His main weakness to me has always been his lack of physical strength. These fighters are always able to get in there and just bully him. The only guy who he was really able to manhandle was Zab Judah. But Zab Judah himself has never been the most physical fighter in the world. Name me a fight where Zab Judah gets physical with a guy. No, Zab Judah don't. Zab Judah tries to box slick and hit you with that big left hand. But he's never been a real physical fighter. But whenever Khan's been in there with a guy who is physical and pushes forward and gets on the inside, he always gets overpowered. So, yeah, I think that's always been his biggest weakness. But with his speed and movement and all that, if he keeps his defense tight, it's definitely conceivable that he could beat Luis Collazo. It's definitely conceivable. I did my prediction on this fight a couple weeks back and I picked Collazo. But after seeing that interview, I don't know, man. I don't know. I think Khan might be able to pull this one off. He might be able to pull this one off. As long as he can avoid getting clipped. You know, Collazo is a pretty good pressure fighter. Collazo's not an out-and-out pressure fighter, but there is fights there where he comes forward and pressures his opponent. And he's pretty good at it. He's pretty good at cutting off the ring. His fight with Andre Berto was probably a good fight to look at because Berto, like Khan, is very fast. In fact, I think Berto might be a bit faster than Khan in terms of hand speed. He's very explosive, Andre Berto. Certainly back then. Maybe not so much now, but back then when he fought Collazo, blistering hand speed from Andre Berto. And good movement back then as well. Now he's much more flat-footed, but in the early rounds against Collazo, he was moving very well. But Collazo was able to cut the distance, you know, cut the ring off, cut the distance, and force Andre Berto to fight his fight. He was pretty successful at doing that. But then at the same time, you look at Collazo against Shane Mosley, another very quick guy, probably not quite as quick as Khan, but certainly has a lot more power and physical strength. And he was able to control Collazo relatively comfortably for the majority of the fight. So Collazo's had mixed results against fast guys with good hand and foot speed. So I don't know. I think this is a very, very interesting fight. Almost a 50-50 fight. I'm still leaning towards Collazo, but I don't know. I think Khan might do the sensible thing and actually stick to a game plan, not get involved. It's still going to be a tall order for him to get through the fight without getting clipped at some stage, though. Collazo is very physically strong. At some stage, you imagine he's gonna pin Khan on the ropes and he's gonna start unleashing, and then we're gonna find out how good Khan's defense is and how good his chin is. You know, at 147, we'll see if Khan's claims that being at 147 allows him to take a better shot are true or not. I don't know. Interesting. Have a look at the interview for yourselves and let me know how you feel about this fight after watching the interview. Do you think Khan's change in attitude is going to make a difference or not? I don't know. Drop your comments below. Let me know how you feel. This is Hatman. I'm out.